All right, let's learn about basic command lines in Linux. All right. First, these are the lesson that we're going to learn: how the file system, Linux file system, is organized, and how we will get to know where am I and who am I, and then how to seek help and look up some manual references that are related to Linux command, right? And also the source code, right? And how to find and filter files, and how to manage file, and how to manage folder. Okay, let's go first with the file system organizations. Let's get to know the Linux file system. Right here we have a bunch of directories that shows starting with the root, and then we can see right here a bunch of the trees underneath there, and then we can see there's a boot file. This is where when you open the OS, it will trigger this and it will boot the OS. This is where it will triggers, and you don't want to mess with this one. Okay, and then this is where the users are stored inside the home page, the home directories, and all these directories are underneath the root directories. And we will explain a little bit about the some of the important directories. Okay, let's go. We will start with the root. Root is where the directory starting point in the Linux OS, and also etc is basically where all the files that are important for configuring how the program should start and when and how. And also the binaries directory is where you store the executable files. Some, for example, Windows .exe will be underneath, like somewhere in binaries. But in Linux, the bin is where we store the executable binaries files, right? Windows, I'm not sure where directories are, usually underneath their own programs. But in this case, Linux OS will manage any binary program that should be starting from bin directory, right? All right, let's move on to MNT. MNT is like the directories where we the external device or USB, something like external device, when we connect it into the port, MNT will be the place, the directories where it will land, right? So it's just kind of like the landing point for external directories. And yeah, that's the MNTs where we can look up the devices connect properly or not, right? And also lib will be the similar to the Windows version of DLL, right? Libraries. And this is where this directory is where we can store anything related to libraries, and also the Linux OS store it libraries. Something like in C, you should know about you should know that like stdio.h, those header files and their source code related are stored in the lib, right? They will sometime in Windows they will be showing, they will store in DLL type of file instead of .c, right? So, and also home is where you can create multiple users in Linux, and home is where we will see a bunch of users directories. For example, John Doe, user 1, user 2, hidden users, all those are stored inside home directories, right? And after that, we can, each users have a different version of their own contents that they can create. So how to identify current locations? PWD, this is how we use it. So for example, if you type in command line, if you set like PWD, that if you type it like PWD enter, and it will show you what your location is, right? So your current locations. And then it will, which user is logged in, right? Who am I? So if you are not sure your user login account, then this is what you account name. That is this is how you can figure out your user account name. Okay, and then how to change file directory. So CD, and then we have that dot for going backward, and it will be going up, right? So this CD will go forward, right? And this CD dot will go backward, and we say up, right? And then like 2 more dot with a space, then we can go back or up by 2 level, right? So back by 2 level. Yeah, you know what's the point is, like just going backward, going backward the directories. All right, and how to list the content of the directory? Well, simple. ls will list, it will list basically the contents of the folder. So this, and also al dash al, ls dash al will show you hidden files inside that directories. And also how we can seek help, we can use dash help or dash h or dash help dash help. I don't think we can use dash help. That was my mistakes. It should be dash h, right? So dash help will be make more sense, right? I think it autocorrect, my slice autocorrect the h. So it should be h dash h, right? So and then this is how we can use it. Like if we want to know more about help, cd, then we can say dash help, cd dash help or dash h. All right, and how to look up for info and references in Linux. Okay, so for example, in Linux, you have like printf, any source code that you want to look up. I think in current Ubuntu or Linux OS, you have to install some type of, I think you have to sudo apt install the manual, and it will install it for you. So the if you want to know more about like the source code, the command, anything that basically the syntax documents will be in the manual, right? So how do we use the manual? Well, man, after you type man, printf, right? So even inside man, if you look it up like man, right? The manual of the manual. If you want to know more about the manual, the document about the manual, then you can just use man. It will show you a bunch of different layers that you can access about specific command. For example, printf, system, libraries, anything, right? Anything related to the OS Linux. Okay, so how do we find binary files? Well, we can use whereas will use will locate the binary source manual page of specific command or syntax if they are available, right? And also we can use locate, right? Locate is the one that find in the entire file, entire OS, right? Specific word, for example, arcacng, it will try to locate that in entire files, and then it will give you overwhelming information about arcacng, anything that match. So it's useful for scanning stuff, but it's not really useful for it's just too much overwhelming. So we have a better one, something like which is more related to environment variable, right? As long as your file names that you're looking for is in the environment variable, something like path, then which will be able to find it for you, right? And then we have something like more powerful, like in this case, the most powerful search Linux command line, which is find command line. It have a type, the file name, directory, so you have to give those, and then it will find it for you. So for example, right here in example, we have a find slash is the root, so we will start from the root, the starting point, and then the type, what type of contents we are searching, right? Is it a file? Is it folder? And after that, we have a name. So Apache 2 is basically a program that we're trying to find. Sorry, file name that we're trying to find. So F will be the file name, right? The file type, the type of contents, I think. That's how, yeah. So it can be file, folder, program, right? But you have to we have to specify what type of contents, what type of things that we're trying to find. Okay, so let's move on to command line for filtering out. So something like locate cat command, ls. If informations are too overwhelmed and we want to be more specific, then we use grab, right? And we have to use, before that, we have to use pipe. So that will give the pipe will give the output of the ls, and that will be the input of the grab, right? So, and then that input will be filter out and specifically match with the grab, and it will give you that specific file or anything that match to hello world. So something like ps aux, right? It will give you anything that run currently in this Linux OS, and you can filter out with the grab and give what type of specific word or name that you are looking for, right? And then you can find out. Okay, let's move on to how to concatenate the files. We can use cat if we use the arrow symbol. So arrow symbol will create a file if it's not exists, and write any contents from the file that the source or the original file, and then it will fill it out with the content, and it will create a new file name, right? Or overwrite it if it already exists. But double arrow will append it if the files already exist, right? If it's not, then it will just create it. Okay, so how to create a file? Touch will be the specific command that we can use for creating a file. How to copy a file? We can use cp from the source file into the destination file. Okay, so and then we have how to rename a file. We can use mv. So either you can move a content from, move a file from another to different directories, or basically rename a file, right? If the file name doesn't exist. Sorry, if the file name doesn't exist, then it will just rename it. Okay, so if it already exists, then it basically replaces it. Okay, so it will just replace the file name that already exists. So there you go, new file, old file. Okay, so how to remove a file? Well, we can use rm, that's the default, right? And if we want to create a folder, then we can use mkdir, and then we can use how to remove a folder, -r, that's what you'll get. So rm -r, and that's about it.